Hi, my name is Michael. Welcome to Future Bread. The title of this video is Theoretically Proving That We Are in a Simulation. Your understanding of this video will be dependent on your awareness of the simulation hypothesis, a paper written by physicist Nick Bostrom in 2003 about the idea that we could be living in a simulation. The recap I'll give here will be brief and possibly incomplete, so I'll leave a link to a more complete explanation in the description below. For the rest of the video, I'll be using the phrase technological maturity to describe the point when a civilization is able to replicate the universe using technology. The simulated universe will be referred to as an ancestor simulation. The paper is set up as 3 scenarios, one of which must be true, that is if you believe the universe is infinite. Going forward, we are going to assume that this is the case. It's important because if the universe is infinite, that would mean that there are an infinite amount of advanced civilizations out there, like us, we just haven't found any of them yet. It would also mean that there are an infinite amount of civilizations in the universe that are more technologically advanced than we are, and the possibility of an infinite amount of civilizations whom have reached the point of technological maturity, so being able to recreate the universe. The 3 scenarios that Bostrom lists, in brief, are 1. That all civilizations destroy themselves before they are able to reach technological maturity. In our case, this might mean that we destroy ourselves by disrupting the environment or the possibility of a nuclear catastrophe before our computers become powerful enough to recreate a universe. Possibility number 2. Every civilization that reaches the point of technological maturity decides for moral reasons not to create an ancestor simulation. This would acknowledge the questionable act of creating sentient beings within the simulation that are not aware that they are in a simulation. And possibility or scenario number 3, you are most likely in a simulation. If possibility number 1 and 2 are not the case, and there are an infinite amount of technologically advanced civilizations out there, with no reason not to run the simulations, they would be doing it, and our chances of being in the original universe are 1 to infinity. Not great odds. Now I'll give my own ideas about why possibility 1 and 2 are irrelevant, leading to the conclusion that we are very likely in a simulated universe. Back to Bostrom's first scenario, that civilizations destroy themselves before they are able to create an ancestor simulation. It could mean that related technologies in a time when computers are that powerful get out of hand and destroy us. It could also mean in Earth's case that we destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons, or that we destroy the atmosphere of the planet with global warming. Taking Earth as an example, say it will take us another 40 years until we are able to replicate the universe with our technology. A lot of people will speculate that in the direction that we're heading, it's fair to imagine that we could destroy the Earth in that time. I have 2 points to make about the possibility that this will happen to us. The first is our old friend negativity bias. A lot of people think that we are close to destroying the world, but this can be a biased outlook. Ever since humans have first walked the Earth, we've been superstitious of the weather, continually throughout time thinking that a drought was the end of the world, etc., etc. Humans look at the world through the technological lens that we have available to us at the time. I'm suggesting the possibility that global warming is just a self-fulfilled and upgraded look at our primal superstition about the weather. I'm not saying that climate change isn't real, but I'm suggesting that our way of looking at it may be skewed. Maybe it's changing and there's nothing to worry about. As I said in a previous video, people who feel guilty and helpless are more easily controlled and conditioned. It's a natural response for the person who is aware of global warming, in the way that we are shown, to feel powerless but still guilty about it. As anyone who has been following the channel, I am almost 100% skeptical of the media's desire to give unbiased information. I don't believe anything reported by the media, or at least see some levels of manipulation in every story. So I think it's conceivable that certain studies have been cherry-picked to grow this idea of global doom. Scientific data has been channeled, and that this has been done intentionally to create an atmosphere of negative thinking in us, and to put us into a constricted mindset. The other point that's almost always overlooked when we ponder our survival is the unlimited potential of human ingenuity. It's our greatest feature. Our ability to learn, adapt, and problem solve is greatly overlooked and undervalued. In fact, we are so good at adapting, we can be efficient and take our time because in the end, we always do our best work when under pressure or when faced with a timeline. We are very good at knowing the tipping point of a situation, when it needs action, and then we figure it out. Human ingenuity, our forgotten ace. So, too long didn't read, we are very likely not going to destroy ourselves before we reach the point of technological maturity. We might think that we are going to, but any challenges will be swiftly taken care of by our direct actions. Scenario number 2 states that any civilization that gets to the point of being able to create an ancestor simulation for moral reasons decides not to. Like the fact that you probably won't tell sentient beings within the simulation that they are in a simulation. Admittedly, from our perspective, that would be real weird if we found out that we were in a simulation. Other than that, there might not be any other moral dilemmas, so let's now look at any possible benefits that would come out of creating a simulated universe. Something that would come from starting an ancestor simulation would be the infinite amount of sentient life that you would be creating. Consciousness, whatever that is. Consciousness, whatever this is. Considering that the majority of people on Earth don't kill themselves to escape it, whatever this is worth experiencing to us. If we were given the knowledge that this was a simulation, what would happen? Would we want to go back to being nothing? Or would we want to stay and continue the experience with the people that we love? I think so. Anyways, that is the question, and if the simulation is designed to escape detection at any cost, it may be a question that never needs an answer. So besides creating consciousness, what else would happen when starting an ancestor simulation? Well, actually, what it could be for those outside of the simulation, observing it could be the most valuable learning tool that a technologically advanced civilization ever gets to have. The opportunity to create and observe it from outside would be mind-boggling. So significant, in fact, that asking the question, what would you learn if you were able to observe the universe from an outsider's perspective, is profound even from inside the simulation. So, what would you learn from being able to observe all of this from an outsider's perspective? Can you imagine looking down like God, or maybe being invisible and getting to have an objective experience of what's happening here? Like, what does your life look like from above? Or what would it be like if you weren't part of the simulation at all, looking at an artificially made universe that you'd be personally detached from? So that's your thought experiment for the night. Try to think about it as you lie in bed right before falling asleep. It seems that starting an ancestor simulation would be so beneficial that we are learning even by thinking about it. So I'm going to call this myth busted, that for moral reasons we would decide not to run it. I think that for moral reasons we would decide that we would have to run it, which means that by process of elimination we can be confident that we are living in a simulation. Or at least be confident in the odds of 1 to infinity that we are not the original reality. But that'll be the topic for the next video. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.